Hey, welcome back to Geocaching World. I'm Dave Dufour, and behind me is Andy HeadHardHat Smith down there in Raleigh, North Carolina, correct?
That is
There
correct.
you go. Yes. And I hope that the weather is treating you better this week than it was last week. We had some tornadoes down there a week or so ago.
Yeah, it's definitely still spring down here. The weather is very unstable,
Hmm.
but then again, we have to contend with, oh, I'm sorry, upper 80s, low 90s.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it.
That's such a shame. Oh well. Actually, it's turning to springtime here in northern Indiana, so we're happy to have it. We'll get out geocaching. Hey, one thing I was going to ask you about. I enjoy bicycling. Is bicycling and geocaching kind of a good combo, or do you get into trouble getting your geocache in the spokes or something?
No, only if you do it wrong.
Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
seems
but
like
no,
that.
actually, bicycling is a very popular way. I've actually had on my blog talked about different types of transportation with geocaching. There are
Mhm.
people that go out on horseback, and so yeah, there's all sorts of different ways from name the vehicle. If it's allowed to be on the path, people are going to use it. Bicycling's a great way.
Yeah, well, bicycling is one of those things that a bicycle can get off the path, off the regular trail, maybe a little easier, and then you have, depending on the trail, you can sometimes move a little bit faster as well, I guess.
Yeah,
So
we
yeah.
actually have it actually goes from Florida up to Maine, but one of the things near us here in Raleigh is the great North American Tobacco Trail, and it's literally a greenway that goes from Florida up to I think it's Maine.
Hmm.
Literally thousands and thousands of geocaches on there, and a bike is a good way to do that.
That's perfect. That's terrific. Okay, yeah, the rails to trails movement has really grown, and of course that with the old rail beds being bicycle paths now,
Yep.
and obvious places for geocaches. So we're talking about the woods. And if you're in the woods now, once you're kind of at ground zero, uh, y what do? You think you're close. What happens next? We've got kind of a video that sort of shows a little bit of what you do, but it's just kind of relax and kind of scan the area, just look around. Is that it?
Actually, that's a very good point.
Try to
Relaxing is a
remember the
really,
size that
really
you're looking.
good idea. The idea is take a breath and open up your eyes and scan for the area. We had talked earlier about commonalities on how a geocache can be hidden.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that happens in the woods is you look for a log and then you want to cover that geocache that's you place next to the log with sticks and leaves and different things that are part of the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
What usually happens is those sticks get put in kind of a straight order, and it's what a lot of times geocachers will refer to as a teepee of sticks.
Okay. Well, we look at that video that we just had up there, and you can see it towards the end of that there looks like there's something there, isn't there?
Yeah, and
We're kind
that's
of
one of
going
the
by
key
it.
points that we look for. As much as you try to hide a geocache to make it not obvious, there are certain things after a while you'll see that just will spark that interest of, huh, that could be it.
Yeah, there we go. And so then the next step, of course, is what I've become very aware is one of the primary rules of geocaching, which
Yeah,
is
it's definitely Head Hard Hat's favorite rule, and rule number one is poke it with a stick.
when I was a kid, my parents said, "Don't play with sticks. They are dangerous. You'll hurt yourself." But now I've got permission.
Yeah, this could be a lifesaver on many levels, depending on where you're at. I've been told from different terrains, from people in the woods, for example. North Carolina has 7 different types of venomous snakes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't even count the non-venomous ones. Some of them get rather big. You don't want to get bit by those.
Mm-hmm.
There's also critters that like to sleep or hide near a geocache too.
Right.
An ammo box, because it's made of metal, retains heat. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times they like staying around, or more importantly, to understand, under them. Taking a stick or a hiking pole or whatever that you have with you, move that stuff around. Most times they'll hear you coming and will leave the area. But for the ones that are still sleeping or stubborn, want to be there, poking it with the stick's going to save you from getting hurt.
Okay. Now, this brings up another question, of course. In the woods, are most geocaches in the ground?
Now, and well, I'll kind of define that a little better. You can't bury a geocache. So in other words, you can't dig a hole like a treasure chest, place the geocache in and cover it up.
Okay.
You can place it in an impression and then put stuff over it, but you can't bury them.
Okay. Is that just sort of
Geocaches
one of
can
the
be
international
placed
rules?
A lot of times on the ground, but also up as well.
Okay, so up is what, like hanging from a rope or a chain or something like that?
They can do that. You can actually go through. Actually, I have several geocaches that I have out where a pulley system is put up into the tree, and the rope goes up through the pulley, and the geocache is held up in place, and you just loosen the rope and bring it back down. Other people do things like one of my favorites that I learned early on is pine trees, say, for example, because we're in North Carolina. The young ones bend very easily without breaking.
Gotcha.
And somebody will take like a 35 millimeter or a bison tube and tie that to the top of the tree and then let it go, and it's up 20, 30 feet in the air. You have to look hard to find it, but it is possible.
Well, then okay, so in your equipment is sometimes a pair of binoculars not a bad idea in case you got to look
that
up
really
a trail?
is not a bad idea. There's people that will actually, depending on where they're hiking, they will bring everything from like those Christmas light holders that you can put up on your roof that extend out like 10 feet.
Oh, gotcha.
They will get something like that to find them as well.
There you go. I got a scissor lift I could take into the woods too.
I'll tell you what.
Right.
I'll send you a picture one of these days of me going across a log. It was actually a live tree that went 40 feet over a lake.
Yeah.
That I had to climb up sideways to get where the geocache is. That would have come in handy.
Okay. But now a bison tube. But when you want to attach something to a tree, it's not you don't nail something to a tree. I'm not talking about for hiding.
You
don't do anything that actually damages the environment or the plants or the structures around.
Yeah, you want to leave as small of a footprint as possible.
That's perfect. Okay, great. All right, well, we're going to look a little bit more at how geocaches are hidden in the woods and maybe even some other places when we come back on Geocaching World, so stick with us. Got a question or a comment about geocaching? Send it to geocache@rvnn.tv or leave us a voicemail at 877-578-RVNN, extension 714. Tell us about a cache you especially enjoyed finding, and we may feature it in an upcoming episode. Follow RV Newsnet on Facebook and Twitter, and you can receive text messages to alert you when we're streaming live by texting RVNN to 72727. That way, you can join us live in the chat room, ask questions, and become part of the RV Newsnet family. Remember, any photos or other material submitted to us become the property of RV Newsnet and cannot be returned. Today's show is brought to you by Angie's List, where you'll find thousands of unbiased reports and reviews about service companies in your area. Whether you're looking for a roofer, plumber, house cleaner, dentist, or even a doctor, Angie's List members share their experiences with each other so that you can choose the service company that's right for your job. Companies can't pay to be on Angie's List, and the reviews come from people just like you who have had experience with the companies mentioned. To find out more, go to rvnn.tv and click on the Angie's List ad.